Did you know over 100 years ago there were plans to establish a Jewish territory in Africa? An establishment that was set for Uasin Gishu Plateau, now known as the Mau Plateau in Kenya. This would come to be known as the Uganda Plan, or the Uganda Scheme, even though the territory proposed was in part of today's Kenya. Anti-Semitism was rearing its head in Europe again, and the Jews needed to flee. But where could they go? On August 26, 1903, Theodor Benjamin Ze'ev Herzl was the visionary behind modern Zionism and the reinstitution of a Jewish homeland, and is widely regarded as the father of modern Zionism. Theodor sought a temporary refuge for Jews escaping persecution in Russia. He first turned to the Sultan of the Ottoman Empire and Kaiser Wilhelm II of Germany in 1898, and finally to Britain. The only offer he got was from Joseph Chamberlain, the then British colonial secretary to an area bounded by Lake Nakuru, Kisumu, Mount Elgin, and the equator. Joseph Chamberlain had suggested to the Zionist leader Theodor Herzl that this roughly 16,300 square kilometers portion of the British East Africa Protectorate could be designated for Jewish settlement. Chamberlain, who had recently visited the area, said the plateau had an excellent climate suitable for white people. And so 13,000 square kilometers, that is about 5,000 square miles, was offered. Yet to be decided in 1903, the plan was to relocate Theodor Herzl's Zionist group to about 5,000 square miles of the Mau Plateau. The views of the local African population, consisting mainly of Maasai, were not known. The Maasai were not politically organized at the time and did not appear to have expressed opposition to the plan, though they may not have known of the idea and would not have been consulted either. In 1903, the idea was brought to the World Zionist Organization's 6th Zionist Congress in Basel, a city in Switzerland where a fierce debate ensued. While some Jews saw the East African land as the antechamber to the Holy Land, others felt no emotional connection to East Africa, as the majority viewed Palestine as the only suitable site for Jews to settle en masse. Before the vote on the matter, the Russian delegation stormed out in opposition. In the end, the motion to consider the plan was passed by 295 to 177 votes. The following year, explorers were then sent to inspect the plateau. They showed in their report 2 years later that the high altitude gave it a temperate climate, making it suitable for European settlement. However, the explorers voiced concerns about the presence of lions and other wild animals in the plateau. They also noted the presence of large number of Maasai people, who were then rightly considered as the region's fiercest warriors. Were using part of the plateau as grazing fields and did not seem at all open and responsive to the idea of a group of people coming from Europe to settle there. After receiving this report, the Zionist Congress met in 1905, and the idea of a Jewish settlement in East Africa was ultimately voted down, and the British offer was politely declined. Some Jews, who viewed this as a mistake, formed the Jewish Territorial Organization with the aim of establishing a Jewish state anywhere. East Africa was seen as no more acceptable as a home for Jews than were several sites suggested in the 19th and early 20th century, including Madagascar, Japan, parts of Argentina and Chile, Russia, Ararat City in America, and the island of Tasmania off the southern coast of Australia. All plans would later come to fail or were never implemented. Arguing in favor of the East African option in 1903, Herzl made it clear that he viewed it as offering only a temporary safe haven for Jews. The ultimate aim, he pledged, would still be to establish a Jewish state in Palestine, which was then under Turkish control. Despite the official rejection at the 7th Zionist Congress, 1905, several Jewish families did immigrate to Kenya. There were about 20 families in Nairobi when the first synagogue was built in 1913. The number increased almost tenfold after the Holocaust, but never led to the kind of Zionist settlement that Chamberlain and Herzl had envisioned.